Marvin Keller Trucking is currently looking for drivers to expand their fleet. We have solo, team, lease purchase, owner-operators, and even part-time local positions available.
Their solo drivers get up to 54 cents a mile. Teams get up to 58 cents a mile. Late model Cascadias and Mack Anthems available. Your health benefits start on day one.
That's nice.
No touch freight and 60% drop in hook.
Nice.
Want something different? Join the Elite Fleet. 4 days on and 4 days off. Hourly pay of $20 to $25 an hour. Want to start your own business? Check out the lease purchase program. With payments as low as $345, you can pay the truck off and start hiring your own drivers.
Want more details? Call 888-418-5161, extension 280.
Marvin Keller Trucking. Hey drivers, are you looking for a new job or are you looking just to become a new lease driver? Well, NCI offers new Kenworth T680 double bunk condos with APU and refrigerator, all standard in all of their equipment. Come aboard and become a lease operator, or you can become a company driver. NCI offers regional positions, over-the-road positions, team positions, and also NCI will take on a few students if you've graduated from a trucking school. Pick up the phone, check out NCI, and see if they have what you're looking for at 888-311-7076. That's 888-311-7076. Hey drivers, have you thought about becoming your own company? Have you thought you'd like to get your own authority and DOT number, but you just don't know how to go about doing it? Well, call J.J. Keller and Associates. They can help you get the proper registration and credentials that you need to operate legally. They protect drivers from penalties and out of service orders as a result of not having the proper authority. They save drivers time by filing their paperwork and ensuring everything is correct. Drivers, they also help you with unified carrier registration, US DOT and MC numbers, MCS 150 updates, year-around authority monitoring, and plenty more. Drivers, if you're looking to become your own company and you want your own authority number and DOT number today, call J.J. Keller and Associates at 888-601-2017. That's 888-601-2017 and tell them TalKCDL sent you. Thank you. So I read a thing the other day, trucking employment continues.
That's good.
It's growing.
That's good.
Well, I mean, in the time that we're in right now, a lot of trucking companies are. It's funny the balance of trucking right now. If you look at it, you have times where trucking companies, they can't find drivers, and it's like trying to find a bar of gold.
Right.
And then there's times where trucking companies can't find freight. Mm-hmm. And so that's been the balance for the last couple of years, okay, where the tariff war started in October of 18 and dry van companies started really, going out of business like crazy.
Yeah, it's all started dropping on them.
Right. And so, and then, flash forward to the beginning of 2020 and the COVID-19 appears. And if you recall what happened with a lot of companies, a lot of companies aren't even, like, for example, we wanted to get our daughter a new Mac the other day. Mm-hmm. Remember? Mm-hmm. And we went online to see if they had the computer we wanted to get her. Mm-hmm. And what did we see?
Apple stores are closed.
Yeah, exactly. It's like all Apple stores. We're afraid of the COVID. But anyways, so the Apple stores, there's nobody working. So that's just a small scale. There's a lot of companies that have shut down. And then what happened was, here's the craziness of this. The government started handing out an additional $600 per unemployment check. Mm-hmm. You know that, right? Mm-hmm. So let's just say you were bringing home $400 a week on a regular job, which is a joke. For a trucker, $400 is a joke. Right? Mm-hmm. But because there's an additional $600 on there now, guaranteed, now a trucker, right? Because I think what the maximum that you can collect on unemployment is like $400 or $500.
Yeah, I actually don't know.
Right. I think I think that it is. I think it's either $400 or $500. And so if you were collecting $500, close to $500, you're now getting $1,100 to sit at home.
Right.
So that mixed into that, you know how it said trucking employment starting to grow?
Mm-hmm.
They're really talking about the drivers is what they're really, you know what I mean? It's because 99% of trucking employment is truckers.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're really saying is, okay, now more truckers are going back to work. Well, what happened was at the end of July, the $600 guarantee went away. And so, I mean, and it did. It ended. But just today, they redid it and guaranteed now $400 extra. So now instead of $600, you're now getting $400. So if you're a guy that was getting the max of $400 and some dollars, $500, whatever it is, now you're getting an additional $400. So say you were getting $450, now you're collecting $850, down $200 a week. Okay, you're still bringing home $850.
Right, you're still bringing home more.
Well, and to me, they're saying, well, it's growing. It's going to grow slow because here goes the guarantee again now. Now, I can't blame a trucker. I can't actually blame anybody. There's Walmart workers, or actually they didn't get laid off, but everybody else that got...
People that did get a lower income, that never had a job that made much money.
Correct.
Is now...
making money.
You know, thinking they're all rich. You know, I'm going to go and get some money.
Well, it's...
You know,
but it's...
for doing nothing.
Right. I mean, and a lot of people are, you know, pissed off about it. And I just can't... I'm going to say this. I don't blame anybody. If you're handing me $1,100 to sit at home or $900 to sit at home, like if you were only getting, say, $275 unemployment, you were getting that $600 also. So you're just about getting $900. You're making more than your job paid you.
Right.
And you don't even have to go in. You could sit at home and watch, I don't know, Gilligan's Island or whatever the hell they watch today on television. Mm-hmm. You could sit around watching TV now, eating bonbons and cracking a beer, and you don't even have to go to work. And to be honest with you, again, I'm going to say it, I don't blame them. I can't, I mean, I'm now me. I can't sit around and do nothing. That's just me. But you make it hard for a guy to go to work when you pay him more than his work's paying him.
Well, okay, since we are yin and yang, here's my take on it now.
Okay.
Okay. So everybody says about the businesses that are going out of business, right?
Or at least aren't doing business right now.
Right. Well, most of them, if they can't hire someone to go in there and work,
that's a problem right there.
They can't produce. There's companies that literally cannot do anything because they don't have the workers to help them succeed in doing those items that they're, you know,
Correct.
the things that they're trying to do, because that person would rather stay at home.
Right.
So in return, the American that does not want to go back to work is contributing to the downfall of those companies because they don't want to go to work, right?
But do you blame them? Well, can I just interject with a question? Because you want to give me your take, okay? I just want you to just think about something while you're giving me your take. What if you're a trucker, right, and you were working for one of these OTR companies where, you know, the miles are okay, and you were grossing maybe $1,000, $1,200, and you were bringing home, like, say, $675, $850 a week. Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden you're collecting the max, which is almost $500, and you were getting the additional $600. You were actually bringing home about $300 clear a week than you were from your over-the-road job, and you don't have to be out on the road from your family for 2-3 weeks at a time. You can just sit back and collect. What would you do? Would you go back on the road and lose money?
I would go back on the road because my CDL, once you are not working for a certain amount of time, goes bad.
Yeah, but not for a couple months.
No, but I still wouldn't want to take that chance. Let's put it this way, okay? You're at home now, not driving, right?
Yeah.
How long does when a recruiter or a safety director looks at that job and says, "That guy sat at home,"
yeah, but
you know, they're not going to blame them, but the fact that they're sat at home, if you had at that time a good med card, well, not being driving and stuff, you're going through a lot of process again. You know, as far as what the med card, what I mean is that you because you haven't used it, you have to go through the physicals and stuff with some of the companies now over again. When you actually had a good one, you probably might have, you know, if you're a driver that was borderline on having to with either sugar or with the issues that they always like to go and drop it down, like high blood pressure. Well, now if your med card is now expired, but you haven't worked, now you kind of put yourself in a little jam there, in my opinion. But I think honestly, not driving, you're hurting yourself because companies don't want to see a driver sitting around when they could be working.
And, this is the truth. I can appreciate that you want to try to match wits with me and come back and...
Oh, my gosh.
And come back with a...
Match wits?
I think
Did you go there?
I just think it's actually cute.
Did you sit there and go there?
Well, because
Match wits.
What you're saying is, it's like you're naming minor problems. Okay, a guy's med card runs out. Okay, I haven't worked. I haven't driven in 6 months. First off, trucking companies in these times will understand why a driver wasn't working. But even more importantly, if you've got 5 years, 10 years experience. Now, if you're a guy that only has 6 months experience and you took off the last 6 months to a year, you might have more of an issue getting a good job. But the guys that have been driving 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
But we didn't state what kind of driver.
Right. But, the average driver that has experience, he's off for the last 6 months because of the COVID. There ain't even going to be a blink of an eye for that guy to not go back to work. And if his med card ran out, I promise you, collecting an additional $200-$300 a week above what you were bringing home to begin with, or maybe even the same to sit at home, that's a nothing problem for these guys. I'm just saying, if I was in their shoes, I probably would have took a little time off myself. Why not? I mean, but if I could make more money being on the road, I'm going to be on the road.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what you didn't mention. Okay, the driver that's worked 10 years and has that experience.
Right.
He's going to be a driver that, hopefully took good care of his CDL and didn't job hop, didn't take, 6 months prior to that, where in the last 3 years, he only has, maybe 8 months because he kept jopping around and doing certain things. Those are the drivers that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the good driver that has a good solid 10 years and in the last 3 years. Those solid drivers, let them take that break.
They're not taking a break, the solid guys.
And that's so you just stuck your foot out your mouth. I matched wits with you there, just saying.
I'm just trying to think what you're talking about.
Shut up.
I feel like I'm talking to a cartoon sometimes.
I was trying to do that. I can't do it now.
Like, I feel like I'm in Toontown sometimes. Where are you going?
Welcome to my life.
Where are you going?
I look at you every day thinking that. So
what? Toontown.
Yeah.
But one of these days you're gonna laugh yourself to death, you weasels.
But my point is the drivers that are wanting to stay at home and get that extra money and do not much.
I don't fault them.
I'm not faulting them, but what I'm telling them is you got to really be careful, because if you're the driver that, the company closed down that you work with before that, so really the last 6 months turned into really the last 8 or close to a year because you didn't have a good job before that, or you had a seasonal job before that, and, so the last 3 years are really sketchy, you might be really hurting yourself. By not going back to work when you can. And
talking to some of the trucking companies, I am hearing a lot of your guys that are, like, say, have abandonments or like 10 jobs in the last 3 years. Those guys are really having it rough finding work right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, in really, really good times, if you have a Class A CDL and a little bit of experience, you get a job. It's like you can have 20 jobs in a day. That's just trucking. Mm-hmm. But when you have a down industry and you find a really good company that's tight on, like, there's a lot of companies that they're not in fact, I was talking to a company in Minnesota the other day, and they're a really decent company. They said, what's really weird, we are not getting people quitting. And the reason being is because if you have a company that actually has freight and they have a job, they're not leaving right now because they know that it's really brutal out there right now with trucking companies trying to. That's why I like a lot of your lease purchase companies. These guys in dry van, they go to these companies that are percentage or thinking they're going to get a lot of miles. And if you don't have a niche and you're relying on brokers right now, it's brutal. So therefore, a lot of guys are not quitting their jobs right now. But as soon as the freight starts getting better and better, okay, that's when drivers start moving. Why? Because I can make more money going somewhere else. You know, a lot of trucking companies In really, really good times, they do what's called overhire. If you have 100 trucks, you will, and this is a rule of thumb. A lot of truck drivers aren't even aware of this rule. If you have 100 trucks, right, you actually, as a fleet, you have to count on 25% of your fleet being down. And what I mean by that is injured workers, sick workers, guys on vacation, trucks that are broke down and in the shop. So you have to figure for 25% overhire. So if you have 100 trucks, you really want to try to have more than 100 drivers, okay, all going at the same time. The companies that don't take that in consideration, they're the ones that are constantly, they'll come close to getting their fleet full, and then what they'll do is they'll back off on their hiring. Really the trick in trucking is to grow. It's hard to just maintain what you have unless you have a niche company that the drivers are all making really seriously good money to where nobody leaves. And those kind of companies aren't around as much like they used to be. So as far as trucking growing and drivers coming back to work, I believe we really came around to this from the beginning statement. I really believe the reason a lot of them are drivers were more going back to work because we're going into the second week of August and this new package happened. I know there was a lot of drivers that were going, okay, they're coming out with something new. I'm going to wait it out because if I go back to work, I can't. You see, the trick on unemployment, when July 31st came and that first package ended to where a truck driver was getting that additional $600, right? Excuse me, the coffee's burping up. If the drivers would have gone back to work, what happened was this new package comes out 2 weeks later, right? And guess what? You can't just quit your job and go collect unemployment. Unemployment don't work that way. You can't just say, oh, I don't like it here, I'm going to quit. You literally have to either be laid off or terminated the wrong way or just something happened to where you can't work. You can't just say, I'm going to quit my job and collect unemployment. It doesn't work that way in the unemployment office. You know that, right?
Actually, I don't know anything about unemployment because I never was on it. But here's the thing that I want to say, or at least ask a question, I should say. When you're on unemployment, you can't file taxes with that income to get, because you didn't pay taxes on it, right? I think it has. I think you have to. I'm pretty sure that has to be added into your taxable income at the end of the year. Yeah, I mean, you file it, but because you didn't claim taxes on it, if you're on unemployment for a long period of time, do you have to pay, at the end of the year, taxes then? Are you stuck on that? If you're a person that usually would get a big $8,000 return because of your claims, wouldn't that jack that down because they're going to take money from what you would have had to pay on taxes for that unemployment out of that, whatever your big return usually would have been?
I think that's probably the case. I can't testify. Why don't you Google it and ask Google real quick if you're on unemployment all year, do you have to pay tax, income tax on that income? It's an income, right? I mean, why shouldn't you have to pay tax on it if you're getting? I mean, it's kind of weird though. You know what's funny about unemployment? What people don't realize, and this is the one thing that a lot of people don't understand, unemployment is like Social Security. If you're getting it, you paid it in to get it. You earned it. So when a man or a woman gets unemployment for their wages, he actually earned that. You understand that right there? When you're a trucker and every week you get your check, there's a little thing on there to where you're paying in for unemployment tax, meaning in case you're ever unemployed and you can legally collect it, you deserve it. Anybody collecting unemployment hopefully deserves that unemployment because they paid in. What does it say? Well,
the first thing I read says, according to the IRS, unemployment benefits are taxable income. This means that any unemployment compensation that you receive from a state or the federal government must be included in your income and will be taxed at your ordinary income tax rate. Then I seen this other thing that I was starting to read, which I'm not sure. It says, hold on. I thought it said something like if you live, because of the CARES Act, it's if you live in certain states, you might not have to. It might be exempt from it.
I thought I heard that this 600 that they're giving out is not. It's like you don't have to pay any of that back, and there's no tax on it. That's I thought I heard that, but again, I can't testify to it. But let me tell you a little story. Where I grew up at, there was this family that was on welfare their whole life, right? And you know what they did one day? They hit the lottery. I'm not kidding you. It was like maybe $1 million or maybe a little less. Guess what? 20, 30 years of welfare had to be paid back.
Really?
Absolutely. Those guys, the government was right there. Absolutely. These guys.
But
hey,
why would they make them pay?
You're on welfare and playing the lottery? Think about that. I mean, if you're on welfare, meaning you need help. You have no extra money. Yeah. And look, I don't fault anybody on welfare that needs it. I'm not here to put them down. I'm just saying. But if you're on welfare and you're buying beer and you're trading your food stamps for money and you're getting cigarettes with it and it is what it is.
It's abusing the system that way.
You take your money and you buy a lottery ticket, you hit it. Government's waiting to get their money back, and believe me, they do on any of those cases. So I don't know with unemployment what happens at the end of the year. I mean, I would think it's taxable, but it's funny is you've already paid that in all your life. So that's the kind of things that you got to think to yourself, if I'm a truck driver for the last 10 years and I'm making money and I'm paying my unemployment taxes, and then all of a sudden COVID-19 comes in, all these companies shut down, there's no work and I can't get work and blah, blah, blah. I'm getting now paid some of that money I put back in, but now I'm going to get taxed on it. So it's kind of weird.
That $600 boost that they gave, it says, but that money is considered taxable income, even the new $600 boost. Well, you don't have to pay Social Security and Medicare taxes. Oh,
what?
Something just pop up on my screen. While receiving unemployment benefits, you do have to pay federal income taxes and state taxes in some jurisdictions. Some states, however, waive income taxes on unemployment checks. If you live in California, Montana, New Jersey, Oregon, Pennsylvania, and Virginia, your unemployment benefits are tax exempt. Additionally, 7 states, Alaska, Florida, Nevada, South Dakota, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming, do not levy any state income tax, which we already know you don't have any state taxes on our states. Mm-hmm. So California, Montana, New Jersey, Oregon, Pennsylvania, and Virginia are supposedly not taxing the
$600
unemployment checks right now.
Yeah.
Well, but I don't know. I don't know what will happen. Okay. Honestly.
All right. Well, like I said, I seen a report that the trucking employment is continuing to grow, and like I said, it's a catch-22 with trucking companies right now because a lot of them don't have the freight, and they know they still have to hire a driver, even though they might not have the extra freight for that driver. But they know let's just say you have 100 trucks and you're barely keeping these guys going. In fact, the guys' miles are down. And you think, okay, if I don't hire, what happens? Next week I may lose 5 or 10 drivers. Then I'm really in trouble because as soon as the freight blows open,
it's gonna.
Well, we know that the economy does that. I mean, Lord willing, it's going to turn around. But the bottom line is, if I let 10 guys go, and if I'm not constantly trying to grow my fleet, even in these times, you have to figure out a way to maintain your trucking fleet. And it's hard because you can't keep these guys happy, the drivers, because if you don't have miles, if I'm a truck driver back in the industry and you can't give me miles, I'm quitting. I got to find a place to be able to run. That's just
some of the companies that we know. They have they still have their own freight, and so it's good because they're doing well with their products.
Right, like I said, if you have your freight, yeah. You look at like Tyson and some of those companies where the guys were walking out, because of things, or some people were getting sick, whatever the case is. And next thing you know, you're shutting your plant down. Well, that affects other industries.
Yeah, but those things are all coming right back. I mean, all that stuff is coming back now,
I know the glass is half full with you. I get that.
It always is. But think of it this way. You got to look at it.
But right now it's half empty.
No, it's not. It's getting fuller. It's got a little drip going. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because, first of all, right now we're going into our major freight part. You've got Halloween. Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up.
Yeah. Hey, and what do I always tell you?
And I'm still ticking. So
what's a tick? You're ticking?
Ticking off my fingers. I was doing this.
You're still ticking. Okay. Hey, what?
But these drivers and these people that are on unemployment that are getting that extra money, they want to spend it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
well,
Christmas, these kids are going to have a great Christmas because
it's free. Let's get these.
They're
kids
all going to be buying. So what's going to happen? The freight's going to come back. So if you don't get your foot out there and get in there and get your job, when all that blows up, you're going to be, I don't know.
So what do I tell you all the time about trucking when it's bad? I always say trucking's the first to see the bad times, right? Every time the economy has taken a dump, I always tell you, listen, we're about to go into some BS. And it's not because I'm smart. It's because trucking is the birth of the economy. If trucking is going downhill a little bit, and I was watching companies panic almost 2 years ago, and I was telling Rufus and all our buddies that are in trucking, or actually in other industries, I was telling them, listen, we're going into bad times. And they were all going, Troy, what are you, crazy, man? They're building houses like crazy, man. We're just pumping money into our pockets. Yeehaw. And I said, trust me, it's coming. Well, the COVID made it even worse, but it was getting bad before the COVID. And what I always tell you also is what? Trucking's the first to see the good. We're the first to see the bad times, and then the rest of the world suffers. It's like a trickle effect, and then, or a boomerang effect, whatever you want to call it. And then trucking sees the good times first. Well, unfortunately, the good times ain't here yet. I was talking to a guy that's really knows his stuff in freight indexes and volume and stuff. And he told me, he said, Troy, you will not even see anything close to a turnaround until spring of next year. I'm telling you, and I believe he's right, because we are not seeing any good times. I noticed you said, well, Christmas is coming. No, that is a little boost. That's not good.
And then the spring's right after that. So I honestly think that we're going to start seeing it soon.
Honey, listen to me.
He just tapped his forehead and had that, look on his. I'm just telling y'all. You can see the image in your mind.
Okay, listen, for real. Christmas comes
once a year.
The first week or two in January is after that. It's still decent. And then the rest of January, February, and March takes a big dump. Why is that? You know why? Because the winter comes.
And you have drivers that don't want to drive in the winter.
Well, flatbed freights goes down because a lot of construction's going on. Roads can't be made under 55 degrees. So literally all that freight slows down, and that means less workers' gloves, less workers' boots, less food, less all kinds of stuff gets sold because a lot of truckers, seasonal guys, they're off for the winter. I'm just saying the winter, the first 3 quarters, that's why it's called the soft quarter. And then all of a sudden April comes around and trucking catches on fire and everything booms. Well, we haven't had that for 2 years. We're just hoping this coming April that you'll see this big giant blast or sooner.
I think it's gonna hit, and I think it's not gonna slow down. I don't think our first quarter is gonna be as soft as you think, because I think everybody's gonna be buying a lot of stuff because they have all this extra money that they're getting.
Ruth Ann has her rainbow goggles on. She sees things so bright.
Jeff got my unicorn going.
I don't mean to be so drizzly.
Glitter and rainbows.
I don't mean to be so like a Debbie
nanny.
Negative nanny. I don't mean. I'm just being real. I'm just telling. Listen, I believe it's going to turn around like you, but I don't believe for a second that this Christmas is the spark of the good times. I really don't. I think we need to get more manufacturing in the country. I think we need to get more freight coming into the country. And then, see, when trucking is...
Vote Troy, yeah.
Vote for Troy. No, but it's true, though. If I'm the president, I will... No, but for real, if when you start seeing trucking companies on like this hiring blitz, okay, and you know how you can tell when trucking companies are on a hiring blitz? When they take... almost anything that applies.
And they're not. And that's the thing, is they're not doing that right now.
Right.
So they're not doing it because we haven't quite hit that spot. But I really do think that in the next month or so, it's going to hit that. And we're going to see that huge turnaround. It's going to start going in there. And I believe it.
You do believe it. Tap your heels.
I believe.
You do, don't you? All right. So... You know, it's funny. Actually, I didn't want to go this long about just that. I had a few other things to talk about. We can...
You talk about lots of stuff.
Well, I just was going to talk about a few things, but, we're pretty much not too far from ending it. What's your word of the day? Let's go there. Let's go. Can we use it in trucking? Well, I'm sure we can.
Yes. Hold on, I got to turn the volume.
Hey, while you're doing that, I seen a video the other day where, what is it called? Well, you were the one. Tell me about it. TAP. Truckers against truckers against what?
Predators.
It's funny. I actually didn't know them. I know there's like all kind of, what's that one Jesse and them are part of? What are they called? Hunted and Confronted. Mm-hmm. And so what they do is they go after the pervies in trucking. And that guy the other day that you were watching, what was that about? He was trying to hook up with was it a little girl or a little boy?
It was a 32-year-old guy trying to hook up with a 13-year-old girl.
Right, and
their decoy.
He was doing the Dateline guy. What was that guy? Hanson. What was his first name? Something Hanson. He used to show up and he'd go, "I'm blah 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 from."
Well, the guy from TAP does it, and he was chasing the guy, and it was like an Oklahoma. Was it green something out of Lafayette, like in Oklahoma? Was it Oklahoma or Arkansas, something like that?
Listen, I mean this sincerely. If you're a truck driver and you like little kids, you're going to get caught. I can tell you right now. I am so happy to see anybody that messes with little kids get put away for life. I mean it.
Well, this wasn't a trucker that did it.
It was a trucker just catching him.
It was a trucker catching him. Well, this was like a regular guy. It's not his first time either.
Most truckers that I know have strong convictions, and I'm glad, that you can look someone in the eye and say, this is good or this is bad. And, those truck drivers that are participating in not just TAP, there's what's the
Truckers Against
Trafficking. That's another great group of and anybody that's listening.
Hunted and Confronted. I mean, we have a bunch that are really great people.
Yeah. Anybody listening right now, follow these guys. Follow TAP. Follow Truckers Against Trafficking. Follow Hunted and Confronted. Follow what was Truckers Final Mile. These are all people that we love to advocate for. These are good organizations in trucking, and even like the Truckers Against Trafficking. If I remember correctly, a lot of those guys there's police forces that have actually will take crowds like truckers and literally work with them and show them how to recognize signs on the road. Like when you're going down the road, to be able to recognize when sometimes you don't think someone's in trouble, and there's been plenty of times where a trucker recognized that there's somebody in trouble in that car, or there's somebody in trouble in that parking lot, just by little signals or signs. And here they were kidnapped and saved by truckers. Believe me, there's a lot of stories like that.
There is. And right now, honestly, we have a society of just not just perverts, but just really demented people out there.
It's always good versus against evil.
Right.
That's life.
But, if these people that want to do good are trained and just get the information that they need, they could be great people. And you don't know what will happen if you end up saving that one person, how great you will feel knowing that you made a huge change in someone's life.
Well, just think if you're a trucker and you cover 500 miles as an average in a day, you go by a lot of people, and a lot of people go by you. And, there's plenty of times where people said they were kidnapped and they were trying to signal people, but they couldn't do it in a big panic because they didn't want the people taking them to know that they were signaling people. So, just being alert is a major thing. A lot of people are nonchalant. And sometimes we just got to kind of get up and be prepared to be watching for things. Anything you can do to help on the road. And they say if you suspect something, like TAP, Truckers Against Pedophiles, and Truckers Against Trafficking, they say if you even suspect something, you can call those hotlines anonymous, and say, look, I'm giving you a license, a license. Something funny is going on in a vehicle. I want to remain anonymous. I don't have the numbers on because we didn't expect to be talking about this, but just look them up, Truckers Against Trafficking, and get their hotline and call it if you suspect something.
There's an app even that they have that you could download, as far as like you can become like a member, or even just you could download the app, and it gives you the anonymous numbers. Like, it gives you all that information that you could just honestly just hit it. But check it out. I mean, the huge impact that you can make on one person's life just by saving them. You would save a drowning victim if you've seen them.
Well, I mean, a lot of people, I seen a story recently where a trucker pulled another trucker out of a burning truck. Mm-hmm. He saved his life.
Right.
And they asked him about, him doing that. And he said, I would have wanted someone to do it for me. Mm-hmm. So it's the same with, if you see somebody you think might be in trouble, if it was your kid, you would want someone to pick up the phone and go, hey, just check this car out. I'm not sure. And make that call. Only because, believe me, being cautious is better than just saying, they're probably clowning around in the car. You just don't know.
Well, you don't know. There's so many children these days are always on their phones. They're on their computers. And they say these apps that the kids are in are extremely dangerous. That's how these predators are getting towards them, between Instagram, Snapchat. TikTok is known for certain things. These applications, these kids are giving information unknowingly to these people that are predating, being predators on them. They don't know it because they're kids.
Okay, you got the word of the day. Let's move on.
Susurrus.
Susurrus? Mm-hmm. Spell it.
Susurrus.
Susurrus.
Susurrus. Susurrus.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's whispering, murmuring, or rustling.
Really? I mean, it's whispering, wrestling, or murmuring. So basically...
Rustling, not wrestling.
Rustling.
Yeah, like
rustling cows?
The quiet susurrus is a soothing backdrop for reading. In other words, like the wind going through the tall grass. That would be susurrus.
Oh.
You could hear the susurrus of the audience before the curtain went up.
Okay. Interesting. You can hear like the little...
You can hear the susurrus in the orientation room while the drivers sit amongst each other.
Wacko. Hey, no, basically it's that off in the distance sound.
Whispering, murmuring, or rustling.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Do you have anything else? Let's get out of here.
Peace.
Peace. Praise the Lord.